30 minutes of power.
Welcome to 30 Minutes of Power, a podcast dedicated to educate, encourage, and inspire godly people to use their power to empower others. Join your hosts, Jori O'Neale and Nicole Salter, as they share powerful insights on how you can use your God-given talents and gifts to make a positive impact in the world. Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode of 30 Minutes of Power, TOP, your one-stop shop for all things encouragement, inspirational, and motivational, with your girls, Nicole Salter, me, Jori O'Neale. What's going on, people? How you living? How you doing? All right, so we actually just heard a lot of Nicole's backstory in terms of her transition from her previous employment to this work from home that then converted later into entrepreneurship, right? And so she mentioned some folks that she previously worked with who knew the right thing to do, yet chose not to do it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about bystanderism. Bystanderism. We're going to talk about folks who know the good that they ought to do and do not do it. The Bible makes mention of these folks. And so this is kind of a continuation or a part two of what we talked about last week. And so I want to jump right into it. Bystanderism, watching people do the wrong thing and not stepping in. And here's the thing. It's not like it's dangerous. And so perfect example. Yesterday at church, these kids were sneaking into the communion. like they was taking like full-blown shots. Like my daughter, she got swimmer's ear. She went into the deep end on Saturday and bad, like the equilibrium was all off and she's like pain. So she's in like children's ministry and she's like, oh, my ear. And so I pull her out. So I'm in the hallway and I watch these two little kids that come through and they see me watching them. Like they see me like looking at them and I'm looking at them and then they look and then they grab the little communion cups and then like they try to like steal them and snatch them and then they bust it open and it falls on the floor. And I'm like, yo, hey, no. What we doing? And then boom, the boy, he books it. But he got his girl with him. It's his sister. And she ain't as fast. So she's looking like, and she's trying to get away. And then there's another adult. And then they try to, interject and get involved. And they didn't see what happened. So they're asking questions. And then the little girl, she like looks and then she runs away too. So then the adult's like, what's happening? What's going on? Who bust open the bag? Why is there juice all over the floor? This is a safety hazard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, this is very simple. That little boy right there, he's running right there. like, listen, I got a bad knee. Now, if I walk past, slip on the communion, on the blood of Jesus, hey, now I'm right. Now, so then the adult Steve's like, oh, where's his parents? And so the other adult, he's walking around the church like, hey, whose kids is these? And then the little boy comes back and I say, hey, come here. Mm-hmm. I say, you made that mess. Now pause. We don't need no words. You saw that I saw you doing what you did. Mm-hmm. Go and get some paper towel and clean that up. We ain't got to, we ain't got to have no communication. No conversation is necessary. What you did, it was not the right thing. Go fix it. He went, came back, wiped it up. People still looking like, whose kids are these? They finally found a mom and they're like, hey, I think your kids is. And I'm just like, that's not necessary. Like, why? Here's what you need to help this little kid understand. What you were doing was not right. Okay. You were aware that what you were doing was not right. But I am here to confirm that what you were doing was not right. And it's okay. You made a mistake. You messed up. Yep. Cool. Hey, stop stealing communion and clean up your mess. And we done. And we're moving on. Like union. and so my thought is like, is this a Sunday joint? Like, is they just like taking shots? Like, hey, we like, what's going on? And there are adults who are usually in the hallway with the communion. So I'm like, are they timing it? So like they go in and like when nobody's around, like how was this working? And I'm like, I think maybe they've been doing this and folks have seen them do it and they haven't said anything. Now, mind you, this is low stakes. We're talking about, all right, don't be stealing communion juice and like busting up the bags and smashing bits and falling.
Right.
But if this behavior is not curtailed, it's going to turn. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we're going to get to the point where like they stealing cars.
Mm-hmm. Breaking in the house.
Robbing banks, right? Like
right.
You have to stop it at the first level before it gets to level 25 or level 1 million. It's a lot of commotion on this side. But bystanderism, like what are your thoughts? Like what possesses folks to just like sit there and watch what's happening versus actually getting involved?
You know, I have mixed emotions about it. I can remember one day I was in New York and I don't even know where I was driving from, but I'm driving past the school and I saw a group of kids running to a parking lot. And so I'm like, what are these bad kids doing now? So at first I started to drive away and I went past the light and then I was like, no, I want to know what's going on. So I drove around and it was a bunch of girls jumping this one girl. So I drove up to the crowd and I revved my engine. And of course, everybody ran. And I got out the car and I grabbed the girl and I put her in my back seat, her and one of her friends. And I was like, what is happening? What is going on? And, you know, she gave whatever story she gave. And I remember her friend just staring at me like, I can't believe you just picked us up. And I looked at her friend and I'm like, how you letting your girl get jumped? Like, what, how you know?
They don't know the code. They don't know the code.
And so I drove them home, you know, and I wasn't even thinking about like kidnapping or whatever other kind of trouble I could have been in. I was just like, if this was my daughter and nobody helped her, I would have been ready to shoot everybody in that crowd. So, you know, I went to go.
You don't really mean shoot people. It's a figurative speech. She's not one of those. She's not an NRA rep. This podcast does not promote the use of guns or violence.
I don't even own one.
Please don't censor us. YouTube, don't kick us off. We're sorry. It's figurative language. She will not. No violence. Everything's peace.
None at all. But when it comes to bystanderism, right? I think some people like it for entertainment, like, right? Like I was invited to go and look at an MMA fight this weekend. And I'm looking at the fight and I'm like, my son will never participate in this as a sport. Like he's in karate now, but his reason for being in karate is so that he knows how to defend himself when he needs it, right? If it's up to me, this will never be a sport. And if he decides to choose it as a sport, I don't know if he will ever see me there in person. Now, if he wins, I'll watch it on TV after. But I cannot sit and watch my child go through something like that, you know? And I think entertainment is a big part of it, because if you look at videos where they're showing fights, they got the most views. They have the most views, you know? I think another part of it, and this is not the people that have their cell phones out, you know, this is just people that might be walking by, trying to get to work or trying to get home or trying to get to whatever destination they have. I think, for lack of a better term, I think it's kind of selfish, because they're just thinking, I need to get home to my family. I'm not trying to save you. I gotta make sure I'm safe enough to take care of my own, right? And I don't fault them at all for feeling that way or thinking that way, because at the end of the day, if you don't make it home to take care of your family, who will? You know? And so I think part of it is entertainment. Part of it is also just being afraid to, especially in the world we live in today, just to not make it so that they can continue their lives and live to see another day.
Mm. I agree with that. Hey, TT Linda, how you doing? What's going
Hi.
on?
Hi, family.
What's going on? So we're just here talking about bystanderism, and what do you believe possesses people to watch other folks doing the complete, utterly wrong thing and let it rock? I know back I was growing up, if you did the wrong thing, like it didn't matter whose house you was in front of, like there was an adult's hand coming and smacking me. And you like, where'd that come from? Like I didn't see no adults around. Like, where did that come from? So you had a built-in conscience, you had an internal and an external conscience.
Right.
So if you made the wrong choice, somebody was gonna help
put you back on straight way.
That was the wrong choice. I don't like that feeling, therefore I won't make that choice again. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like that part, that is the slow and gradual decline of the youth.
Definitely.
Instead of stopping, helping, redirecting, just mentoring, loving.
Yep.
Instead, it's gossiping, it's posting, it's video recording, right? Like this, instead of this, it's this. You know what I mean? So
right.
And I understand that people have this ideology that the more ratchet stuff is, the more likes, the more views. But in all honesty, I'm like, unless you're trying to monetize your platform, you just ignorant. Like, there's no reason to record half the stuff that go down. Like, I took the kids to the museum today, and on the way back, it's crazy traffic. And I'm like, oh God, and I pray nobody's hurt or injured, like there's no accident. And one car rear-ended another car, which then hit another car, and now 3 cars pulled over, and there's a cop car, and he's doing what he do. He's supposed to, take everybody's information down.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going so slow, and I passed one car, and they were like this.
Yep.
And I'm like, first off, that's illegal. You're supposed to be driving.
Right. That's definitely illegal.
I'm like, unless you're a newscaster and somebody's paying you to take this video and hold up traffic, this ignorant. You just being ignorant. Like, there's no reason for this. So yeah, bystanderism, I can't be into it. Like I don't get it. I don't get it, because part of me is like, I have to see justice done. And I feel like sometimes, like, that's my kryptonite. Like, I can't like stomach injustice.
Right.
And so it has a lot to do with the choices that I made in terms of like my majors in college and like my occupations. And I want to see people treated properly. And when I don't,
can I say something?
I love it. I love work.
People being treated properly. And I was talking about this earlier. I hate injustice too. But look, let's take some of that and put it back on that person that's being treated unjustly, because they don't have any filters or nothing, like you say, with that phone. As soon as the police stop them or somebody stop them, I've got you on video, you can't, instead of letting the man do his job, you did wrong. And we have to start facing the fact when we are wrong. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And that's just the bottom line. When y'all was little and y'all got popped upside the head, it was because you were wrong. 99 times out of 10. it was y'all was wrong, and you knew it was coming
I don't know.
because you was trying to look over your shoulder to see who was there while you were doing what you were doing.
I can only speak.
Okay, we get that feeling inside when we're doing wrong, as well as people doing unjust things. They know they're wrong, and you get that feeling. The spirit tells you are absolutely unequivocally wrong. Your kids shouldn't be out here up and down the street. You wonder, oh, why did my baby get shot? Why wasn't your baby at home? Why is a 13-year-old out here in the street all times of the night? That's wrong. The parent is wrong. The child knows better too. You know, and when mama used to say, ain't nothing out there between 10 and 2 and 7 in the morning. If you ain't going to work, ain't nothing out there but trouble. So, because I did a lot of wrong. You got to face up to the fact and then be able to talk to these children in a manner that they're going to listen to. And it has, they tell me about this new way of raising your kids. Okay, raise your kids that way if you want to.
Yeah.
But I tell you, if I got to keep them and they doing wrong, I'm going to pop that butt. Okay? All this tender raising you're doing, sometimes you have to be stern. You have to be stern because that child is going to look at you and say, yeah, okay, I ain't going to do it no more. And you turn your back, they're doing it right now. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying beat your children. I don't want you to beat your children, period. Because even when y'all was kids, if I hit you, it was way far in between time. I didn't just hit on y'all. I tried to talk to y'all.
Yes, you were one of the talkers. There was other folks.
I was a talker, but I'm gonna tell you, I was a cusser too. I cussed them out too. I didn't cuss you out.
I'm gonna plead the fifth. I'm gonna plead the fifth. Listen, you have to understand, like, God blessed me with the gift of discernment from an early age. My peep game, I was like, nah, her hand's too thick and too big to be smacking me. So when mind you, all y'all can see is the part of her face that she allows to show on the screen. But y'all understand, she's like 6 and change, like cornbread fed, Arkansas born, like she's stocky. She ain't fat. She's stocky, and so she get to swinging like it's like some. And nah. All I had to do was,
and I did use help to swing with. I kept a baseball bat in my closet at all times because I had boys around me all the time.
Yes.
Jori and Tiffany was my only 2 nieces that was around me all the time. Yeah. The rest of them was boys. So I had to let them know I do not play and I'm not going to play that game, child. I probably did wrong. If they look back on the way I did things, they'll probably say, Miss Wilson, you did wrong with children. But I claim all my children. My children are doing well. So I don't think that butt whooping they got every now and then hurt anything. And they were respectful. They would not dare let me catching them disrespecting somebody. Not at all.
This is accurate. And so, yeah, I feel, and this is a conversation I keep having with a lot of educators, honestly, about how far the pendulum has swung in terms of, and so I have mixed emotions only because I grew up with a lot of freedom very early. Like I was sharing with somebody the other day, like I got kicked out the house often, not like, oh, you bad, leave, go find somewhere else to live. Like literally, like the sun was up and my grandma would wake up and like, why are you in my house? Go outside till the sun go down. Why are you in here? No, get out the house. You sick? You ain't sick. You ain't sick. Get out my house. And I'd be like, whoa. Like,
but just think, Jori, if you stayed in the house, you'd have been cleaning that big rascal.
But that's the thing, like, that was freedom because I went out. until the sun came down. I was like 5, 6 years old, and I'm just running up and down the street on a bicycle, just all over the neighborhood. As long as I when somebody say, Jori, I show up eventually, like, like from the first yell, I was good. And then fast forward, I move out to the south suburbs, and my stepdad, super just like controlling. Like, he grew up in the neighborhood that I was raised in, and he knew what I didn't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. And so I was very sheltered, like from like 10 years old on, even up to like college. Like, he was like, you're not going to New York. And I was like, oh, okay. Could you sign this for me real quick? Yeah, just sign. It's so no, don't even read it. You don't got to read it, Dad. It's just okay. Just sign it. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Jori, you was slick. You knew how to get what you wanted.
Listen, again.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
It's not about the what. It's about the who. Whose signature do I need on this paper so I can go ahead and get this FAFSA settled, so I can go ahead and get this scholarship to St. John's? Whose signature? Your signature. Your signature, Daddy. Your signature. Mama's in yours. I can forge Mama's. That's fine. But you write funny. So I need you to sign this paper. But like,
that's something, Nicole, ain't it?
But so I have mixed emotions, because I didn't like being controlled. I didn't like all of the conversely, I have friends who had that freedom that I had from 0 to like 9, from 9 to 18. They had that same freedom, and they're still living in the same neighborhoods. They're still in the same areas, doing the same things. And no, not people's choices is their choices. But I have conversations with them, and they're like, yo, man, I wish I would have made different choices.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there has to be some sort of balance. I think that God created parents to instruct their children, and to put parameters, and to discipline them, and to correct them. Like, all of these things are biblical.
Yes.
But God also gives us free will. So my brain has a hard time wrapping itself around the idea that God gives free will, but parents shouldn't. I think there has to be a point, like this age of understanding, where, okay, I did everything I needed to do to instruct you right from wrong. So now you on your own. You make those choices, that's on you. Like, you
have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and so that part, but I, as a teacher, especially high school, I see a lot of sheltering of the consequences. Like, you got your kid ripping and running the street, but then when the consequences come, you're like, no, not my baby. No, like, yes, your baby is horrible. Your baby's horrible.
Right.
Come to acceptance. Acceptance is the first step. It's the first step. But I think there has to be a balance. There has to be a balance, and people have to be open to say sorry. Like, I know a lot of adults, that's a hard word.
Parents have to, well, me being raised years ago, it was, I said this, now do it. You didn't have a choice in what you did, but parents have to start sitting and talking with their children, not letting up on the discipline. If they do wrong, you have to discipline them, because otherwise you're going to have a child out here, like many of these children out here right now, 13, 14, 12 years old, 11 years old, out in the street of Chicago. I don't know about New York, but the streets of Chicago, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, sticking up and stuff like that. What is that 11-year-old child? What does that child see at home, in order that he thinks he is obligated to go out, and not obligated, but it's for him to go out here and on work or whatever? You understand what I'm saying? shoot
Yeah.
somebody. The other day, they had a shooting here where 9 girls got shot. 9. They were at a Hawaiian party. They had a Hawaiian type theme party for somebody's birthday. But they pull up in a Jeep, jump out the Jeep, and just open up on these girls. Shot 9, killed 1. Now you tell me these things, when you talk about things, some of these things start at home. They got to start at home. So that child or that person would feel differently when somebody try to tell them, oh, we're going, here, take this gun, we're going and we're going to shoot up this party. And they'd be like, no, man, because me, I'm getting out, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Y'all do you. And then me, when I get out and be gone, I'm calling the police on my way walking. But your children have to know that there is a line that you don't cross. And I think that's what the Bible is telling you, that parents have to instill in their children that line that they don't cross. It's certain lines you don't cross, not being, the Bible tells you spare the rod, spoil the child, stuff like that. Don't disrespect your mother or your father with shorting your life, with shorting your years, stuff like that. But you have to figure out with your child what that line is, what that child needs as far as that parent is raising that child. You got to figure that out with your child, because children have all kinds of personalities. You got 4 children in the house with you. You got 2, right, Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
You got 2. Jori got 4. I bet
Yep.
y'all can sit up sometime and look at these children and say, where did you come from? You know, what is wrong with you? Look at Jori. My son is grown. And sometimes y'all come in there and be like, what's really wrong with you? Who did something to you today? And I just go on in my room when I ask him once or twice and he say nothing. And I come on in my room, okay, ain't nothing wrong with you. Don't tell me later something is wrong. Or there's nothing wrong.
Yep.
So I like the start of this conversation, because what I hear you saying, TT, is that bystanderism is starting at home, because the parents are being literally complacent bystanders as their children are raising themselves.
Wow.
Or better yet, social media is raising the children. The parents are just there, right? What is this? There's a Latin term where it's like, I am a parent, but not really. Like, that's what preemptus something. I'm gonna Google it. It's gonna be great. But that's what we consider ourselves as teachers. Like, we are your stand-in parents, right? But there's certain things that we can't do by law, right? Just as teachers and not your biological parent. But I feel like there are folks who live in a household with other small children who also take that mindset, like, oh, well, I gave birth to you and everything, but like I'm trying to do me, or I'm trying to, like, I don't, like, oh, you can figure that out. Or I'm like, where, how, who's teaching them? What's going on?
How can they figure it out? Who told them how to figure it out? Who gave them a guideline on anything? And I've always say that people send their kids to school. The teacher is not to raise your child. You're to raise your child.
Can you say that again for the people in the back? Because
the teacher is not to raise your child. You're to raise your child. When your child goes to school, your child should have his manners and all of that intact. He should be able to respect the adult that's standing at the head of that class.
So
my mama beat the smack out of me because I disrespected the gym teacher. And when she walked up in there, Nicole, I was doing, and I looked around and seen that little short, stocky woman walk through that gym room door, and I knew I was dead. You know what I'm saying? You know you're dead now. Because my mama didn't play having to take off work and come see about you at school. See, that was the old school things that happened in life. that we have to go back to. Some of them we got to go back to. Some of them you got to take away different things from your children.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
not let them witness certain things. You go to the porch and holler, Jori, Jori, Jori. There's no Jori. Hours later, there's no Jori. Come on now.
That happened once. That happened once, one time.
Oh, but I'm just using that as an analogy.
But I'm saying it happened one time, and the offspring of Herberdine, she reincarnated herself into Charlotte Mack. And I mean, we brought the nunchucks out, the belt was there. She had one of those leather razor sharpeners, grabbed it off the wall. I was running around the room like an extra in Kenta Kunte. I was like, oh. It was not happy, pretty, fun, but guess what?
You didn't do it again.
Never. Still to this day, like if my mama called me, I'm hopping a plane. I'm hey, how you doing? Don't hit me. So real quick, I wanna land this plane right here. This past Sunday, the preacher literally said exactly what you said. Well, no, the youth minister, he said it's not the church's job to teach your children about God. That's your job.
And it's not.
He said when you bring your children to church, they should be so full.
Values are supposed to be instilled.
They should be so full of learning about God that when they get to church, it's everybody coming and sharing their knowledge collectively. It's not, I don't talk about Jesus, I don't talk about God 6 days out of the week, and then on Sundays, I anticipate one day for an hour and a half, and now my child is gonna poof, magically know the word of God frontwards and backwards and be obedient. And nah. Like, that starts at your house. Education starts at your house. Values and morals start at your house. Obedience, respect start at your house. They do not start at the school doors. They do not start at the church doors. They start at your house. And guess what? If when they show up to my doors, if they devoid of these things, then I know that those things ain't present at your house.
And a lot of it has to do with you two ladies are married. And it has a lot to do when you have your children, the respect that you show each other. You understand what I'm saying? You respect your husband. They can't come to you and say, Mama, can I go to such? You say, no, we have to discuss that with your dad. You see what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was like, it was good we had my stepfather at home with us. He was crazy, but there's certain things he didn't take, and I'm sure with your husbands, there's certain, your kids look at him and say, no, I don't want to mess with that man. You see what I'm saying? And that's the start of the thing, because you are united front.
Right.
And then, and another thing I've always said about women out here, okay, we have these kids, we have kids out of wedlock, we're raising our children. But guess what, ladies? You can't be a daddy. You're a mama. Stop saying Happy Father's Day to me. You ain't a father. All you can do is the best you can do as of raising that child with your knowledge. And hopefully you can have a man in your life that can help you instill the man side of things. But it's just a whole lot of things. But
that's the thing. Like there's so many gray areas. Like, we don't want to bring God into the school system. We don't want to bring all these different things and ideas, because they're offensive and they're hurtful and they're not all inclusive. And at the end of the day, like, you really have to say to yourself, okay, is this potentially throwing the baby out with the bathwater? Because now I don't want any of these religious, churchy, get that out of here. But I'm like, but that's what this nation was built on. The morals, the values, so you want the nation, but not the stuff the nation was built on. Okay, cool. Got you. Yeah, we don't want that. Like we just want people to be good people. We want them to have nice lives. We want them to do good things. And I'm like, all right. So you want them to have principles? Yes. Okay, well, let me explain something to you. You can't have principles and leave out the prince.
Right.
You can't. So you either want Jesus or you don't want Jesus. But if you don't want Jesus, then you don't want any of the things that come with Jesus. Like you can't separate that. So I'm preaching now, guys. Listen, we got land the plane. Nicole got a curfew. There's children like popping up out of all sorts of holes. I'm like, where you come from? This is why I got my fake screen in the back. People, if you're watching this on the live, you're watching the replay of the video, go ahead, click that QR code. If you want to connect with us, you want to ask questions about how we do what we do, you want Auntie Linda to tell you more stories about her getting beat down as a child, whatever you need, folks, we're here for you.
Or how to beat a child if they're not behaving the way they should be behaving respectfully.
Absolutely. We need all that. But this has been an incredible conversation and one that we will continue. So super grateful. Thanks, TT Linda, for popping on.
Man, I was trying to get here so I could pop in. I was trying to get here. I was like, oh wow, it's 6 o'clock. I can make it.
Little internet could, and you did. Good
and
job.
I did.
You did. Good job. From all of us here at 30 Minutes of Power, be an empowered person using your power to empower others. Nicole Salter, Linda Faye Ray, Jori O'Neale. Till next time, people. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to 30 Minutes of Power. We hope you found today's episode informative and inspiring. To stay connected with us and continue the conversation, follow us on Instagram at 30 Minutes of Power or email us at azironsharpensiron@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit our website at azisi.org to learn more about our mission and how you can get involved. Remember, your power can make a difference in the world. Let's be folks out there using our power to empower others.
30 minutes of power.